Okay, here we go with Wheelock chapter 6. We're going to learn some forms of the verb I am and the verb I am able. So we already learned the present indicative active of the verb sum, I am. Now we're going to learn the future. So we have ero, eris, erit, erimus, eritus, erant. So I will be, you will be, he, she, or it will be, we will be, y'all will be, they will be. In the imperfect, so a past tense, we have eram, eras, erat, eramus, that is long, eramus, eratus, erant. So, and then of course the present, I have it as possum here, but this is these forms that I have highlighted in blue here, the present of sum, sum ss, sumus estis sunt, which you already know. So now you can say I am sum, or you can say I was eram, you were eras, and so forth, and you can say I will be ero, eris, erit, and so forth. Now to turn sum I am into I am able, we just add, here's our little rule, that we just add pot to the forms of sum. And then you have to remember, when you add pot to the forms of sum, pot plus an s is going to equal poss. That s just kind of takes over for that t. They had a hard time pronouncing a ts together, so instead of pots sum, it becomes possum. And so we'll just turn all these now into, so to turn these into the present of I am able, possum, I'll just take away our highlighting. And now you can see here the forms of I am able. Possum, potes, potest, possumus, potestis, possunt. And likewise for the imperfect, I just take away our highlighting here. Poterum, poterus, poterat, poteramus, poteratus, poterant. I was able. You were able. He was able. We were able. So forth. And then likewise for the future. Potero, poterus, poterit, poteramus, poteratus, poterant. I will be able. You will be able, and so forth. So for your flashcards this week, obviously you need to make a flashcard for every one of these verb forms. The future indicative of sum, the imperfect indicative of sum. You already have one for the present of sum, and then you need to add these three for possum, poteram, potero. Okay, so those are obviously very useful verbs. Now we should talk about complementary infinitives. That is, we have this in, I spelled infinitives wrong. We have this in English as well. Sometimes you need an infinitive to complete the idea. So I am able to walk. So there's an infinitive, to walk. I am able to walk. Or here we'll make this, I am able to praise God. Let's make that into Latin. So I am able, possum, to praise, laudare, and God. That needs to be in the accusative because it's the object. I am able to praise God. Possum laudare Deum. And now in Latin they might say Deum laudare possum, of course. They might like to put the verb at the end, but either which way, you get the idea. So sometimes you need an infinitive to complete the idea. And possum, I am able, that is one of the words that in Latin requires a complementary infinitive. So here's another example. Amicus meus ambulare non potest. So potest is he, she, or it is able. Non makes it he, she, or it is not able. The nominative, telling me my subject, is amicus meus, my friend, is not able to walk. Ambulare, an infinitive, completing the idea of potest. All right, so that's pretty straightforward for chapter 6, the things that we have to learn there. You can see on your screen now the two sentences I'd like you to work on after this video, and then I'll have another video where we do the translation of these. As I look over the vocabulary on page 50 for this chapter, I'm not seeing anything of any difficulty or, okay, one that's kind of unique is this verb, this enclitic conjunction, qua. Qua goes on the end of a word, and it just means and. And so the example he gives is fama gloriaqua. So you can say fama gloriaqua instead of fama and et gloria. So these two are equivalent statements. Fama gloriaqua, or you could have said fama et gloria. Seems kind of odd to us in English. We don't do that. We don't have the word and on the end of a list, but that's one way to do it. So that's a tricky one in the vocabulary. Other than that, everything is straightforward in the vocabulary. Don't forget to, when you're doing verbs, to note down all the principal parts given as for the verb. So for possum, I've got possum, posa, potui. So that's present indicative active first person singular. This is the present infinitive, to be able. And this is the perfect indicative active first person singular, I have been able, I was able. So note when you do your vocabulary flashcard to note down, note everything down properly. So all your principal parts for verbs. When you have a noun, also put down the genitive of the noun, so you remember which that is. And when you have an adjective that has 3 endings, note all the endings. So that's just a reminder of how we want to do vocabulary cards. But for now, you can stop this video and the next day or two, learn the forms that have been in Chapter 6, learn the vocabulary, then tackle exercises 1 and 5, try to translate these. And then when you've done that, come back and do the translation video to get your corrections, and that'll set you up well for the quiz that'll contain Chapter 6.